Hey, it's Dave Miller with Leadership Pathway. I just finished a recording with Holly Tate of the Ready Network. You may know of her through her work with Leader or even with Vanderbloemen back in the day, but she tells a couple of stories. One is about playing on a losing team and how that developed a certain skill in her. And the other is she talks about her youth pastors when she was in middle and high school and where that sent her between the ages of 18 to 25 and how that totally informs who she became and how God is using her today. And I'll tell you, that's what this is all about. Who's the Next You? It comes out September the 9th. It's available on Amazon, wherever you get things like that, probably Amazon. If you want a copy before then, just shoot me a note. We'd love for you to pick it up. Enjoy this conversation with Holly Tate. Hey, everybody, welcome to Leadership Pathway. I think they call me the co-founder, which have you ever talked to a 6-year-old and said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, a co-founder. But here I am, and it's great. I'm so happy that you're here. I love talking to sharp people, and that's today's guest, Holly Tate. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
I
If I
love
had
talking to
known,
I love talking to not sharp people too, I should say. I love talking to anybody.
well, how do you know? Maybe I'm the not sharp person. How does somebody know if they're the sharp one or the
Holly,
not sharp one that you're talking to?
I think we all know that you're pretty sharp. I think so.
Maybe we got to define sharp. But I was gonna say that if I had known the word co-founder when I was 6 years old, I definitely would have wanted to be a co-founder for
Co-founder?
sure.
Not the
Yeah.
boss? Not the chief?
Well, that too, yeah. But I love working with a team. That's actually been a learning for me in this solopreneur season that I love working with a team. So that co-founder, implies that you started it with someone. You've been on the journey with someone, which is fun.
Well, I love working with a team, but
Hmm.
I love the people I work with, but they're all fractional and they're all flung all over the country. So and when I hang up, am I going to open the door and go, who wants to go to lunch? No, none of
No,
them are here. They're elsewhere. It's not a
I
good
know.
idea. Is that
It
what you
is.
mean? Or do you mean behind that door, there's some cubicles and all of your people?
That is a great question. So that is probably one of the reasons why I work at a co-working space because when I was full-time
Yeah.
at Leader for the last 4 years
Okay.
before I transitioned in February, but I was the only remote executive team member. So the rest of my team was all in Dallas.
Right.
So I did like being able to open the door and talk
Yeah.
to Kay, who's at the front desk, and
Yep.
then like I've got friends here. Um, it helps it not feel as lonely.
Right. We
Yeah.
talk about getting an office a lot, but then I know by the second week I wouldn't want to go.
I know, but there is something mentally when you have the option. Because do you ever feel those days where you're like at your house and maybe you're in your office, which looks like a lovely office that you have right now,
It's
and
lovely.
you just feel like you've hit like kind of a creative roadblock because you're
Yeah.
just and so to be able to and you can get up and go to a coffee shop or whatever, but
It's
I
not the
do think
same.
because I don't come in here every day,
Okay.
maybe about half the week,
Okay.
but I think even knowing that I have the option
Okay.
is there's something mentally that's helpful with that.
You are Holly Tate of lots of things, but Holly Tate of the Ready Network. Tell us about this network and what are you ready for?
Yes, that's a great question. Oh, I'm ready for so much. I'm ready for so much, Dave. Yeah, so fun fact, I actually launched the Ready Network in 2020,
Okay.
but I put it on pause because Leader, which is a software company,
Hmm.
they were a client and offered me an opportunity to join them full time. So put it on pause for 5 years until April 1st. It was not an April Fool's joke
Right.
of this year where I relaunched it. And so
Okay.
that is my company, what I'm doing full time. And we help people and organizations go from chaos to clarity. That's what we do. So I do that through coaching and consulting. And then I've
Okay.
got a certification that people can go through whether they're trying to get unstuck personally or
Okay.
they're trying to help their organization get unstuck. And then we've got content, some podcasts and
Right on.
stuff that we're working on.
Give
So,
us the high level. If I'm living in chaos, how do I get to clarity?
yes. So I've got a framework. It's called the Ready Framework.
Okay.
And this is what I've done intuitively over the last 15 years with different organizations and in my full-time jobs. But yeah, it was in like, I guess it was in March. I was sitting in the quiet of my home, which it's been at least 17 months since that happened
Yes.
because I've got a 17-month-old
Yes.
toddler
Yay.
toddling around our home.
Hmm.
And when I left Leader in February, I took about 30 to 45 days where I didn't say yes to any like work related stuff. I said
Okay.
yes, wanted to really shut off that side of my brain because I'm like you, Dave, where I just love to work. I
I love
really
to work.
love,
I love working.
I do, I know, me too. But
I'm not
actually, a
sure. Are we
coach,
allowed? We're allowed to say that, right?
I think, well, that's a whole TED talk I could give on like
Yeah.
the sanctity of work. I mean, work was in the garden before the fall. It is a good thing. Now, when we over index on good
Right.
things, that's where we
Right.
get in trouble, where you and I have
Right.
to rein it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that it brings joy to the Lord when we love to work. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, I remember like I was sitting on my couch and I really do feel not to over spiritualize because I'm really not typically
Yeah.
that person, but this is one of those times in my life where I was like, I really felt like God gave me this framework. Because I named my company the Ready Network back in 2020 when really it was like a marketing agency, but I didn't want to do that. But it was what I was
Okay.
known for. It was,
Okay.
and so to relaunch it, really coming alongside executive leaders and executive teams to help them go from chaos to clarity, I was like, man, how do I explain to them what I'm ready for, what the Ready Network is, to your
Yeah.
question at the
Yeah.
beginning of our conversation. And I really felt like God was like, grab your journal. And I started writing. So
Mm.
it's a 5-step, it's READY, 5-step framework
Thank
that
you.
takes us from chaos to clarity. So that's what it is.
Do you give ever ready batteries as gifts when you show up?
I don't even know what those are. What are
Ever
ever?
ready, like a Duracell, except that their competitor is called
Oh,
Ever Ready.
are they the batteries that are black and gray? Because like Duracell is black and brown.
They're
Are the
probably
ever
black and gray. They
the
would be
other ones?
cheaper, which is the
Okay.
downside. So don't
Yeah.
tell them. Anyway,
Well, then no, I shouldn't give ever ready batteries if they're cheaper and they don't work. We want to be the Duracell batteries.
Holly, why do you want to help? What's the motivation behind helping clear up
Ah,
the chaos?
because we cannot reach our full potential that God has given
Oh,
us personally, and we cannot reach our full potential as an organization if we are not willing to do the hard work of getting from that chaos
yeah.
to clarity. I was just on the phone this morning, Dave, with somebody. And I'm watching somebody in an organization right now that's just, they're sticking around, even though they're miserable, And I just told this person, I said, there is nothing that agitates me more than seeing people be made small and being
Mm,
stuck where they
mm,
are because they're not ready to like take those steps to change their circumstances and I've been there
yeah.
multiple times in my own life, which is why I think it brings me I'm so passionate about it because I've gotten to the other side where you look back and you're like, why did I stick around for that long? Or
Right.
why did I make
Right.
that problem my own when it wasn't mine to
Right.
solve? So my personal life mission statement is to help people reach their full potential in both their personal and professional lives, achieving more than they thought they could. And so being able to do that at the Ready Network through executive coaching or consulting executive teams,
Yeah.
that's what I love to do because
That's
I
great.
hate seeing people and organizations not live up to their full potential.
Why do you hate that?
Because I think it goes back to what I was kind of talking about with like, you know, from a spiritual perspective, we get to be co-creators with God. And I think we forget that. I've forgotten that in my own
Hmm.
life when I let the stress of what feels big at the time, but looking back, things that shouldn't have been as big of a deal, I look at it as this like burden rather than an opportunity to co-create with God. I
Yeah.
bring it on as stress and anxiety versus
Yep.
looking at it as an opportunity to be a co-creator with God. And so um, for us to miss those opportunities because we're stuck, um, I just think it's doing a disservice to the gifts that God has given us and the opportunity that we have to make our difference in the world.
Here's a question I think we're allowed to talk about,
Okay.
or we can
We'll
edit
see.
this, or we can edit.
Please don't tell me it's politics. I don't want to talk about
No, I
politics.
was wondering who you voted for. No. Do you see a difference when someone's stuck? Let's just use that word. So when they're not, when they're in chaos and they're stuck. Is
Yeah.
there a, when men are stuck and when women are stuck? Would you boil it off? Because I do want to talk to you about being a high powered. I think I view I don't know if you'd call yourself like a high powered leader.
Mm,
Probably, right?
I like that
You've
word.
used the word. You already used the word. What? Solopreneur. I don't
Hmm.
think I can spell it, but executive
Me either.
leader. And my friends who are in ministry in particular, even in what you would think is a progressive kind of environment, they talk about the boys' club of ministry.
It's very real.
We go to executive conferences, and it's just obvious the boys planned it. The events are the afternoon off. Here are the options.
Golf or
Who
yeah,
puts
I
this
don't
stuff
what
together?
other
So do you
bourbon
think
tastings.
when
Although I do
so
like bourbon, but yeah.
yeah. So I was just saying, when you're coaching a man or a woman, are the fundamentals different when they're stuck? Do you think?
That I really like you asking me this, Dave, because I'm not sure I've thought about this recently. So if you'll allow me to kind of verbally process, I was
Yeah.
actually just on an executive coaching call this morning with an amazing woman. And what she's stuck in right now, and this is what I see in a lot of, especially like high achieving
Yeah.
women, is it's the own story that we're telling ourselves. Like we're putting this pressure on
Yeah.
ourselves that no one else is putting on us. We're putting it on ourselves. And I don't, not to say that there are not men who do that, because I can think of a couple that are coming to my head right now
Hmm.
that do that. But overall, it seems like um, most male leaders kind of walk with their confidence forward, like
Hmm.
which there's actually data. I learned this from Katie Cole. I think it's I'm probably gonna get my numbers wrong, but something like men have to see that they can own like 20% of a job description. If they feel good about 20% of the job description, they're going to apply. For women, it's
Okay.
like 80%. Like they're not
Right.
even going to apply
Yeah.
unless they feel like they can do 80% of that job. And I think that is the main difference where with men it's usually like a tangible. I'm thinking of a gentleman I'm executive coaching right now, and he came to me with like a very specific business problem. Now, what we unpacked was
Mm.
there are several things coming to a head in his life,
Mm.
personally and professionally, that are kind of contributing to this business problem. Whereas I feel like if a woman came to me with those same things, she would probably have led with the more like emotional or mindset problems
Yeah.
that then would have been like, oh, and that's how it's showing up in my business. Whereas or organization, whereas with men, maybe it's the other way around. So yeah, I'm just kind of throwing some stuff out there
Yeah.
of what I'm learning with a couple of clients right now. But um,
I know there's conferences and there's books and Katie and some others that are always out. Feels like we've taken a step back on this topic in church
okay,
world.
tell me why you feel that way. What are you noticing?
I think all of our superheroes, who have spectacularly brought some shame, right? We don't have to name
Hmm.
them, but we could. All of the people
Hmm.
that we love who've like let us down. And so then you get down to like down boots on the ground, the church of 400. They're like, yeah, we just can't have women. Just can't have women on the executive team or in the car or on the trip or on the.
Hmm.
What do you think? Have
Yeah,
we taken a
because
step back in this world? I'm like Nancy Beach
oh
is
my
my
gosh.
hero. Nancy
Yeah,
Beach, right? I mean, if Willow Creek did it, we
phenomenal.
did it. And that was my 20s and 30s. I get to see her about annually. And I'm like,
Hmm.
my hero, Nancy. And I
Hmm.
think I've heard her say, I feel like it feels like we're starting over in some ways on this topic in
Yeah.
the workplace of church.
Man, this is a tough one, Dave, because there's two things that are coming to mind for me. So one is, and man, yeah, you're gonna like. So I had a coworker when I was at Vanderbilt, and my friend Sarah, she said, Holly always has a pilot light on. It's just a matter of how ignited it gets. And like
Nice.
you're igniting my pilot flame right
Yeah.
now because well, I'll just speak for our time at Vanderbilt. The churches that we worked with the churches that we worked with who had the most rules around
Yep.
gender related boundaries
Yeah.
had the most moral failures
Yeah.
because rules are not going to solve the problem. It's a heart issue. So if we are not, number one, leading with integrity at the top, and then number two, cascading through shepherding and teaching and education and all of those things about viewing each other as brothers and sisters of Christ, and what does that mean to steward that responsibility,
Yeah.
we've missed the whole point.
Yeah.
Like as rules and regulations are not going to keep
Right.
quote unquote moral failures from happening. And so and then I think that goes to the fact that of like maybe taking a step back, because when these issues happen, we tend to swing the pendulum the other way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, we need more accountability. Well, usually what we mean when we say accountability is the tangible rules in the employee handbook,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
again, like going back to just like the written rules rather than addressing the heart issue. And so maybe that's why we are seeing that. But on the other hand, I will say, and I don't know what the statistic is, but I did see an article. I think it was in the Atlantic. So I need to actually go back and read it and grab that stat, because it was saying that yes, like the number of, and this is not church, this is like the workplace in general, but the
Hmm.
number of women that are leaving the workforce right now is higher than it has been
Oh,
recently.
okay.
And I wonder if it's because like we're during COVID, we saw more flexibility than ever. So
Right.
women were able to see a pathway of how can I be an effective mom, an effective wife, an effective, employee. Whereas we're seeing like companies like Amazon and Google require, okay, you have to be back in the office, you have to work these
Right.
hours. And so then all the other small businesses kind of look to them as their example. And so people are, kind of saying there's more rigidity now. And so women are going, I'm out. Like
Right.
I'm now going to go and be fractional or
Right.
pursue this flexibility that we have the option to do now, where I can have the flexibility that I want as a mom and working. So anyway, those are kind of the two. It's like I don't know that I don't know that it's all on. I think it's both. I think women are feeling the or seeing the opportunity to be more flexible than ever and choose how they want their work life balance to look. And also, perhaps we've taken a step back because we're trying to over index on what we are seeing in these mega churches. That was probably way long of an answer, but that's what
Well,
comes to mind for
it
me.
shows in subtle ways to me, like if I'm going to hold a meeting in a room all together, if there's
Hmm.
someone that's early and and their homework is done and they're ready and they're whatever they're going to take notes on, it's out, it's ready to go. It's the woman.
Oh, 100%.
And it's because she knows she has to be
That is,
better. She has to be
yes.
better than everyone else collectively in this room.
You nailed it, Dave. I was at a conference, I guess this was like maybe a year and a half ago, and there was only one female keynoter. This was a church conference. All the others were men.
Yeah,
Guess who the best one was?
of
The
course.
female. Like,
As the co-founder, as the other co-founder of Leadership Pathways always says, women, they're just better. Her name is Kristen. She's sitting right over there
that's
coaching some
awesome.
pastor somewhere where I can hear her in the other room. Yeah, anyway,
So true.
it just feels like, wow, it's 2025, right? It's 2025.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
feels like it's anyway,
Well, but we need, I guess to your point though, we need to be telling the stories of those who are doing it well. And I'm with you, Dave. It's hard to find.
it is.
Like I just heard of another one recently where I'm just like, are you freaking kidding
Yeah,
me?
right.
Like, guys, we got to be better.
We got to be
Like,
better than that.
we got to be better. So anyway, I think how can we how can we highlight this? And maybe that's something leadership pathway can help do, is like find those stories that we can tell that are healthy, that are where it is working, where they're, and I know like,
Well, yeah.
yeah, there's the Together Project, I think, Katie and Doug Ferguson, I believe, or maybe I'm getting, ooh, anyway, they're doing a podcast where they're kind of talking about this topic on a regular basis. So it's
Well,
helpful.
for us, it's helping them start someplace that's
Hmm.
going to value who they are. And I think years ago it might be like, well, this is a whatever kind of church, but they'll let you it'll work out. It's a great church. You should go, you should take the resident or the internship or whatever there. And
Yeah.
these days I'm like, you should not go there. It whether or not it's a great place or not, whatever, but they're going to view you differently than your opportunity there someday will be limited. So
And
I
how do
wouldn't.
you discern that on the front end? Is it theology? Is it looking at their staff page on their church? Like,
A
what
little
are,
bit of both. Sometimes I feel like more and more. This is where from what I was trying, like more and more, it's just we're complementarian. And
hmm.
so it's just like
Yeah.
flag in the ground, easy to find on the website, and they're all white guys with beards and they're angry, and that's the staff. And if it's large enough, you keep scrolling, you get a line, and then you get the directors. All the pastors are up here, and then the directors.
Right.
I'm not here to change anybody's view on any of it. I'm just here to try to help young leaders start in a place that's healthy where they're going to grow and they're still going to be there in 5 or 6 years because that's what the kingdom needs. It needs people that are
Yes.
30 that have been
Yeah.
doing this 5 or 6 years and want to be there. So why would we start a young woman on her leadership journey in a place where we know that's not going to happen? And I
Hmm.
years ago it might have been like they're changing. They're
Hmm.
open to this. But
Yeah.
then you watch a few of, the 27-year-old try to break the glass ceiling in that organization. It's going to be summed up as something other than the pure intentions of what we would all want it to be. What
Yeah.
they need is the 55-year-old woman to go break that glass ceiling who can actually do it.
Yes.
And the 27-year-old is just going to be, discouraged and move on to something else or end poorly. So
Yeah.
why start there?
Now, I will say, Dave, a little bit of a hot take here because I can think
Mhm.
there's a couple of churches that I know really well that
Uh-huh.
are complementarian that I do think do a great job of developing female leaders to lead in the way that they theologically believe. And I'm thinking of a few that would say they are egalitarian, but do
Right.
not
Exactly.
because there is a subliminal. It's one thing to say, it's just
Totally.
like staff values on culture. It's like
Totally.
you can put them in an employee handbook, but unless you're actually living them out
Right.
and we can see
For sure.
evidence
I
of
totally
it.
agree.
And so there are some egalitarian churches I'm thinking of where because they have this view of like, oh, women are typically or maybe it's they want to be in the supportive or the administrative role,
Yes.
or they plan our
Yes.
events, or
Yes.
they do the women's ministry, but their website says
Right.
that they're egalitarian or they
Right.
have the title of pastor, but they don't
Yeah.
really get to lead at the full capacity. And then there are a couple of healthy complementarian churches I can think of where even they don't believe that women should be pastors. They do a great job
Hmm.
of developing them to lead in the capacity that they believe theologically. So that's a little bit of a hot take there.
No, it is. And
Yeah.
I'm in on that. We also have female candidates that are totally complementarian. They grew up in it. It's what they know. They
Yes.
believe it. They bought it. And so they should be matched to the right place too.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's 30 minutes, and
Right?
that's just not what we were here to talk about. Here's the question. The only question I have, Holly Tate, that's just the warm-up band.
Yeah, that's
So
just the
everybody
word.
goes and gets a beer or whatever and comes
Yep.
back. So well, who was Holly? We deal with 18 to 25-year-olds, right? 20
Mhm.
over and over and over. And I'm always, predicting success,
Mm.
predicting, trying to not squash we're having these conversations every day where we're ruddering people one direction or another a little bit and trying to
Yeah.
just prayerfully do that, but not get in the way, not overcorrect. So I'm always interested in it. Like, how did this start?
Oh man.
So who was Holly? 18 to 25. Because I
I
think a lot of those things that happen kind of are markers and they show up later in our stories, right?
Yes, that's so true, Dave. Well, I'm so glad you asked this because I was actually sitting in church yesterday thinking about Holly from 18 to 25
Yeah.
because our pastor was doing a sermon. He just dropped his he has two daughters, and his youngest just moved into college last week. So part of
Okay.
his sermon was like, sharing just how you can't believe when it happens and all the things, like being an empty nester and all of that. And I was thinking, now that I am a mom, I'm 17 months into this journey.
Mhm.
Like he could have given that sermon 2 years ago and I would have been like, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know what college is going to look like 17 years from now,
Yeah.
but
Right.
hypothetically, we're going to be dropping Iris off at college
Yeah.
17, 16, 17 years from now. And so then I was thinking about he kind of like as a part of his sermon was giving this visualization of how much college has changed where like he was like when I was 17, 18 years old, my parents, we loaded up our Toyota Corolla, we drove and they basically dropped me off at the doorstep and were like, "Good
Right.
luck, see you
See ya.
later."
Right.
And then he was saying how for his daughter, it's like insane. Like people have U-Hauls and there's like
Right.
companies you can pay to like decorate your dorm room. It's so wild.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, what did that look like for me? And I remember we loaded up I think my mom had like a little one of those like Volvos at the time, like a
Mhm.
boxy Volvos, and loaded up all of my red. Red was my favorite color, and zebra print. I always joke this is inappropriate, but that my room looked like a brothel because it was red and zebra. It was disgusting, but that for whatever reason that was my style at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and we loaded it up and we drove to New York City because I decided to go to college at the King's College in New York City, which
Oh,
unfortunately does not exist anymore. As of
okay.
this year, last year was the first year that they stopped doing classes, but
Okay.
they ran out of money, unfortunately. But yeah, little Christian school in the
Yeah.
Empire State Building. And
Yes.
so, yeah, that's the King's College.
Why'd you go there?
So two reasons. One, I grew up in public school, which I'm so thankful for. But
Hmm.
as I was looking at colleges, I really felt like it would be a great experience to go to a private Christian school.
Okay.
Um, and then secondly, I
And
was
you
a
were living
theater.
in Manhattan at the time, so it was just up the street.
Right. Nope. I was living in Nashville, Tennessee. It was across
There's
the
no
country.
schools between Nashville and
I know.
Manhattan. It's funny.
Well, so that's the thing is I was really attracted to the idea, which King's vision was all about being
Oh
in the
yeah.
headquarters of the
Yeah.
world,
Right.
like,
I
and
actually didn't know it went out of business, but
yeah, a
it
lot of people
looked
don't.
legit.
Oh, it was
Like
amazing.
those were where the serious people go. I'm not, there's no way I should be there. Yeah.
The nerds.
No,
Yeah.
serious people. Does
Yeah. No,
everyone there want to go shape government? And is that what you were thinking about?
yeah, well, at the time, what really drew me to kind of look at New York City was I was a theater kid in high school. And so I knew I didn't want to study theater,
Right.
but I loved the idea of like that being around
Sure.
theater. And
Wow.
so I Googled, well, I remember in Nashville, NYU did like, you could go and hear them talk about NYU. And I went and I just was so disappointed. It just felt very like I would be a number. And so I remember going back home and sitting in my dad's, big leather office chair and Googling on AOL dial-up internet, Christian colleges in New York City
Okay.
and thinking nothing would come up, but the King's College did. And I was captivated by the mission, which is what you just said,
Yeah.
that why would we put a Christian school in the middle of a
Right.
cornfield when
Right.
we need to learn how to engage society
Yeah.
and transform the world? And so
Yeah.
that was so compelling to me. And so I did. We packed up the car and I drove to New York City. And I just think back, like now I'm like, oh my gosh, my parents. I mean, and my mom and dad always say that, like, of course, because apparently I was like that since I was like, apparently my first phrase was, I want to do eat. Like it was just like, I've always been independent.
Yeah. Were you
So
an
yeah, that
athlete in
was,
high school? Did you do any sports things?
I did. I was goalie of the soccer team. We
Okay.
were awful, Dave. I think our best season, I think we only won 3 games,
Okay.
but I did win all district goalie
There you go.
because I think they felt bad for me because I made
It was
30
because all
saves.
those other players sucked so bad, they just kept shooting and you
No,
kept
you
having this.
you nailed it. There was one of our all district games. I got the award because I made 30
Yeah,
saves
there you go.
in one oh my gosh, what is the word? My brain, like for half of the you have two parts of a game. What is that
Two
called?
halves?
Halves.
First
Thank you.
half?
In the first half. But the score was 12-0 of the whole game. So yes, I made 30 saves, but we lost by
Yeah.
12. So
Okay.
anyway,
So you were
but
okay.
I will say, Dave, like our church, the church I grew up in
Okay.
Nashville was, and this is what's funny, going back to our conversation, I would say I'm no longer, I grew up complementarian. I'm not
Hmm.
anymore, but did an incredible, our youth group. And there was like a legacy of like three
Right.
youth pastors in a
Yeah.
row where I can go back and like draw a direct line
Hmm.
back to Melvin Swafford. And I will tag him in this when I share it. But
Hmm.
Melvin Swafford, and you know what's crazy is it was Jason Stewart, who now is the head and on the executive team of Exponential Conference, which
Okay.
is wild. But they led the youth group
Yeah.
and prioritized leadership development,
Right.
which was about 4 years ahead of my time.
Yeah.
But the way that they developed those students who then had
Hmm.
such an impact on me when I got
Oh
into
man.
the youth group,
That's it.
and then Dan DeWitt and David, and of course now I can't remember David's last name right now because I have mom brain. I can't remember anything, like two halves to a soccer game. But they all three, like they were our youth pastors in a row. And Garrett
Yeah.
Gregory was one of them.
Yeah.
Leadership development was just really important.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is really what shaped that 18 to 25. So that was like middle school and high school Holly
That's
that had a
amazing.
direct impact on 18 to 25-year-old Holly.
So you went to school. Did you finish at King's? Did you graduate?
I did. I
All
studied
four?
business development all
Did you
four
come
years.
home in the summers or did you disappoint your parents and
Nope.
stay up here?
Disappointed my parents. I did visit, but no, I did. My first summer was at Ebenezer's Coffee House, which is a part of National Community Church in Washington,
Okay.
D.C. I
Yeah.
read, this kind of just gives you an insight into who I am, if it's not clear already. I read the book In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day by Mark Batterson.
Mm-hmm.
It was gifted to me at high school graduation. I read it that first semester of
Mm.
college, and he was so innovative at the time because he was really the first to merge like social enterprise with
Yeah.
ministry.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, every church, not
Right.
every church, but like
Right.
a
Right.
lot of churches have a
Yes.
coffee shop. But that blew my mind that you
Yeah.
could use business for good. Like
Yeah.
that was like a new concept for me. And so I emailed them and I said, "Hey, I just read this book. I would love to go work at your coffee shop over the summer." And so they did a phone interview and they hired me. And that was the summer that when I lived, one of my roommates lived about an hour from DC, like her family. So they generously let me stay there for free. And I drove an
Mm.
hour into the city. I got
Mhm.
towed twice because I illegally parked. And I mean, yeah, so many stories there. But I did that one summer. I worked at King's one summer. I worked
Okay.
for a stockbroker one summer.
Did you ever
Yeah,
do
those
any
are the
community theater?
I didn't, which I regret that, but I did take a class. King's did
Okay.
offer a theater class, and I took that, and that was a highlight. I loved that class.
Did you play goalie, the King's soccer team?
No, we actually didn't have, they had soccer after I left.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, didn't do that.
How does a young, were you a lead? Would would you have said you were a leader? If they'd said,
When?
"Hey, if you're a leader, stand up," would you have stood up when you were 18?
Probably.
Probably. Okay.
I think so. Probably because of all of the like the youth group stuff I was just talking about. Like we had
Okay.
student leadership university that we went
Okay.
to in high school. I led the FCA in high
Okay.
school. So yeah, I probably would have said that.
So you're a
Yeah.
leader. How do you break out of that? I mean, these places where we're raised, and I was too, these amazing legacy places that launch us. They didn't even know what they were doing. It was just the people that were there, right? And
Yeah.
but how do you break out of that comp? How do you not? listen to the negative, the downside of some of that legacy stuff that keeps you, like I think of my mom. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was at this amazing, and if you could cook it or clean it or set it, she was there all in,
Mm-hmm.
right? While my dad was the chairman of everything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you break out of that? How does
From
he,
like a female perspective, like how to
yeah,
break that is a
yes.
great question. Man, I'm trying to, and
Maybe we shouldn't even, to your point earlier, we're not, break out is probably the wrong word. It's probably the wrong way to say it, but this
yeah.
orbit, right? And some are fine with that orbit. They believe
Mhm.
it. They don't want to be a pastor. They don't want to be the next gen pastor. They'll be the director of kids. It's fine, and they do it 40 years, and then it's amazing. But then every once in a while, Holly comes around and breaks that orbit.
Well, okay, so this is really interesting, Dave, because you're sparking for me. So I was asked a few years ago by my church home. They said, "Hey, like we got to get you up on stage to like do a sermon."
Oh,
And that was the first time I'd ever been asked to do a sermon. Speaking on stage, very
right,
comfortable with. Like,
right.
give me a topic, let's go.
Interesting.
But I had this moment where I thought, I
Yeah,
don't know if I can do that.
right,
Like a sermon? Like me being responsible for God's word and translating that to what I believe he wants to say to this group of people.
right.
And it really like, and I told him, I was like, I actually really need to think about that. Like I need to think, and because I needed to unpack what of this is fear, what of
Mm-hmm.
this is me believing that I shouldn't, what
Mm-hmm.
of this is believing that I couldn't, because those are
Right.
different, should and could.
Yes, yes.
Um, and then it was a couple years later that we started having a female teaching pastor. She's contract. She's not like full time on staff,
Right.
but she teaches about every 6 weeks at
Okay.
our church. Erica Graham, phenomenal
Okay.
person and leader and teacher and preacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say fast forward a couple of years now, because I saw it modeled is what I'm saying. So
Right.
to see Erica, and she's
Yeah.
just this like not only is she so gifted and called to
Mm-hmm.
preaching, but she also leads with authenticity and vulnerability that she doesn't have it all figured out. She's
Yeah.
very open about her, where she falls short and all the
Yep.
things. And to see that modeled has been such a gift to me to help me be like, okay, I could do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say like to me, I think there is a difference when you're in that complementarian. I think one to wrestle with what do you believe theologically?
Right.
And if and then getting to that of you personally, what do you believe? And then if you do believe, okay, I do think that God has put in me a gift to teach and shepherd and preach. Now, then to untangle any of those fears or insecurities or imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah. So anyway, I think I was very comfortable with leading, not from a spiritual perspective, but when
Right.
it became like a spiritual component, it was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that feels scary. And I need
God
to
had
figure
more
out
for you. You're
why that
Holly
feels
Tate.
scary.
You're Holly Tate. Of course you're going to do that.
Yeah.
You graduate from King. Give us the highlights. Graduate from King's, and then what?
Yep. And then I was sold radio advertising for a year. So made cold
Okay.
calls. It was a Christian radio network called Salem
Yeah,
Communications.
sure.
And that was when I did that for a year. I met William Vanderbiltman because I was trying to sell him radio advertising. And he ended up offering me a job. I was in Dallas, sorry, moved from New York to Dallas.
Okay.
Always had an intention of going back to New York. I did not want to move to
Okay.
Texas, but it was the
Yep.
only like full-time job opportunity that I got.
Yep.
And so, anyway, he offered me the opportunity to move to Houston and join him. And we were like about maybe 5 employees at the time.
Yep.
And, and so was there for 8.5 years. And
Wow.
then in 2020, November of 2020, I left to start the Ready Network and had several clients. But Leader was like my main pillar client,
Okay.
the software company. So then
Yep.
they offered me the opportunity to join them full time. And I was so frustrated because I was like, God, I've been on my knees for like, because a year before I left Vanderbilt, and I was really trying to discern what was next.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've been on my knees asking for literally this opportunity that you're now putting in front of me, and you are doing it after I've already gone through this rigmarole of filing my LLC and launching my business.
Interesting.
So that was wrestled with the Lord on that, but decided to join Leader full time because I knew that I could always go back to doing my own thing.
Yeah.
But even if I was at Leader for a year or what it ended up being 4 years, that I would end up better on the other end of that. I would learn so much. I would be challenged. So I was there for 4 years until February,
Hey, let's talk
and then
about let's
yeah,
talk
go for it.
about we deal with people every day, not as much if the leadership pathway, young leaders, but people. I was on one right before this, a senior pastor.
Yeah.
And we talk about this a lot. Like like I believe God is active, right? Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to vocations and jobs, Christian Christian young people, they're especially the Christian university grads, right? They're looking they're looking for burning bushes and parting of Red Sea and sometimes it's like, am I gonna be a kids pastor or a student? And I'm just like, you're looking, what do you think about all that? Calling, the word calling. Like in my
Yes.
story, I would say, yeah, my calling found me at about age 43. My calling found me.
Mm-hmm.
My 20s and 30s were chaos, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we're coaching young leaders a lot about
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm just one like I think of my own children. I'm like, I want them to do what they want. I want them to follow God, do all the things that they learned in kindergarten, the most difficult things that they learned were learned very early in life, you know.
Yeah.
And but are they going to be an astronaut or a truck driver? I don't know. Like they'll figure it out.
Right.
Just how active is God in these things? You said you were on your knees starting the
Mm-hmm.
Ready Network,
Mm-hmm.
but then took the job with Leader.
Yes. Hindsight is 2020. It's
Yep.
so hard when you're in it.
Yep.
It's so hard to see the forest through the trees, especially when you grew, which I grew up in a theological perspective that was you were so, I was so scared to do the wrong thing. And that's why
Yeah.
going back to Mark Batterson's book In a Pit with a Line on a Snowy Day
Yeah.
was so transformative to me because the whole
Yeah.
concept of that book is God has already gone before you.
Hmm.
Christians should be the most courageous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christians should be the most innovative and highest risk take, not being stupid, but
Right.
being confident that we are not leading with fear. And
That's right.
unfortunately, and that was so freeing to me
Yeah.
because I grew up in a theology that was if you died tonight,
Right.
and or if like you were on a car wreck on the way home,
Yes.
would you go to heaven? It was
Yes.
very scarcity driven, very
Yes.
fear driven. So when you go to college, like where you're going to go to college, what you're going
Yep.
to do when you graduate from college, everything feels so heavy
Yep.
because you're afraid to
Yep.
disappoint God or do the wrong
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's, you didn't ask me where it comes from, but I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
And so I think to like acknowledge that and help young people, whether it's reading a book, like for me, that was just like the book that was opened my mindset to a different way of looking at scripture that I had been exposed to. And so, yeah, helping them unpack that. And then, secondly, yeah, that's why, I mean, honestly, it's called the Ready Network because I believe that we get ready by doing.
Yeah.
So, just
Oh,
to do it scared, to
yeah.
take that first step, that you are not disappointed. There is, no, and that's part of that book, In a Pit with a Line on a Snowy Day, where he's like, there are like, God is not, you're not going to disappoint God by taking a youth pastor role over a children's pastor
Yeah.
role. Um, but to just take the best next step that's in front of
Sure.
you. There are very few things in life where that are like that you can't roll back. You
Right.
know, there are very
Right. Very true.
few forks in the road. Um, and in looking, we have the gift now of like, I have the gift now of almost 15 years You have the gift of what have you been in ministry for like what, 30?
Yeah, I mean, I've been an adult for
Right.
more than 3 decades.
Yeah, so you even like things that I feel stressed about, I could tell you and you'd be like, "Holly, it's all going to work out. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not as big as you think it." And I get to look back at people in their early 20s and say,
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
because I'll be 37 in a couple of months and
Yeah.
and so anyway, I don't know what your
Well, I
original
turned
question was,
55
but
this
there's
year,
some
Holly.
thoughts.
The other co-founder tells me, don't talk about how old you are because you're old. But I'm like, I'm 55 and I
No,
like it. I
it's
like it.
wisdom.
And it's for
Yes,
that reason right there.
exactly. And
So
you have
much of
that
what we worry about,
gift.
it never happens. It should have never been worried about. Christ uses all of it. I
He
mean,
does.
probably my biggest professional blunder of a job I should have never taken, if I had not gone through that for as she would say, 3 hard years and a fourth really bad year, I would not be talking to you. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm on a Zoom this morning with this pastor, and I'm telling him basically, I can tell you what not to do in this situation. Don't
Yes.
do what I did. And it's perspective. You get farther and farther, and you start seeing it for what it is, and what you learned, and what you came through, and how it applies to help other people.
So true. It's so true. And I think too, Dave, another thing I've learned this twice now. I'm praying for clarity and
Yeah,
it's right in front of me. I just
yeah,
haven't had the courage to
right.
step into that clarity.
Well, someone on my team last year looked at me and said, "If only we would do it, or only," I think she said you, if
Uh-oh.
only you would do what you coach these other people to do, we'd be a lot better." And I
Oh
was like,
man. Hey,
sometimes you can't see it
how
with
did
your
that
own team.
feel when that person said that?
I wanted to throat punch her.
Yeah.
But then
And then,
she was right. She was right. I was
so what
talking
did you
about,
do on the
I
other
said
side of that?
something in front of a group like, if you're not doing one-on-one, blah, 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 blah. And she said, I've worked for you for almost a year. How many one-on-ones have we had? If only we would do one. So you want to know about a one-on-one that I was ready for, Holly? Oh man. Yes. Anyway,
Dave, I love that she had the courage to
yeah,
tell you that because
totally.
that is so rare. Shout
Well,
out to that person.
it's because she's young. That's why she had the courage to say
Right? I think about that all the time. You know what has
it.
been something that has surprised me in getting older, Dave, is how much more anxiety and fear I have. Like,
Right.
I would have thought when, if, like, let's say 27-year-old Holly would have
Mm,
thought that 37-year-old Holly would have
mm,
been a lot more confident and courageous, but it's
mm.
the opposite.
Yeah,
It's because now we know what could go wrong.
right.
It's like I envy the confidence that I had at 27. I wish that I had that back. The naivety, the
Well,
confidence.
organizations are like that, right?
Yeah.
Small churches, startup churches, and then we get big and successful and cautious. And a smaller church will let a resident preach the sermon. I'm like, you let him do what?
Yeah.
Wow. But the big church, sometimes there's so many students in the middle school room on Wednesday night, we can't afford a flub up. So
Yeah.
there's that thing, right? And that's true of organizations, it's true of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We move forward, we get cautious. What's next, Holly? What's the next thing? What are you working on right now? What are you learning?
Oh my goodness. Well, last week, Thursday and Friday, I wrapped up my third cohort of the Ready Framework certification.
Okay.
So what this is the framework that I use with my clients. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, hey, maybe other people would want to learn this and use it in their context,
Yep.
whether they're a coach coaching other people or whether they are
Fantastic.
in-house at a church and want to like add it to their tool belt.
Yeah.
And I am loving that. Like there is
Yeah.
nothing more energizing to me than seeing the light bulbs go off for whether
Mm-hmm.
your people are using it for themselves, internally, getting themselves unstuck or with an organization. So anyway, I just decided today, the next one is October 9th and the 10th. So I like to have six people. I've done it with four. I really like six. I would
Okay.
probably go up to 10,
Yep.
but six is like a really good sweet spot because there's a mix of facilitation and then breakout groups.
It's great.
So anyway, um, I'm, yeah, pumped about my fourth one happening October 9th and 10th.
That's great. Are you
Hmm.
doing it live? Are you going around the
Yes.
country and doing? Okay,
Oh, well,
fantastic.
I do it. Well, sorry, I do it live on Zoom.
On Zoom. Okay.
Yes, it's
We
on
can
Zoom.
find
Yeah.
this on hollytate.com.
Well, no, thereadinetwork.com. I know it's confusing because I use my email a lot from
Yeah.
hollytate.com, which
Yeah.
hollytate.com right now looks awful. I'm actually in the middle of redoing it, thank goodness, because it's terrible. That photo at the top is like, I don't even know, pre-COVID, so a long time ago.
Fantastic.
And yeah, wow, I just realized it's probably like, I don't
That's
know,
awesome.
7 years old. But thereadinetwork.com,
Okay.
and then you can click on certification and all that info is
Super.
there.
I love
Yeah.
it. Thanks for this. It's been great. The girl,
Thank
don't
you.
ever forget, people. You might be playing on a team that sucks. And because of that, you're gonna learn to do something and you might even win an award. So there you
That's
go. That
actually a really good lesson.
it's a
Like, yeah.
when you were saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, man. I'm gonna preach that someday. I'm gonna like this. That's a thing to think about.
That
If you
is,
were on the best soccer team ever and you only had to save 2 shots a game because the defense was so awesome, the ball was down there, you would not have become the goalie that you became that won the award. And I'm also not surprised. I don't know you well. I know you through your what I see on social media
yeah.
and stuff, but I'm not surprised the girl from the conservative Nashville church wound up at King's College. Like
Hmm.
the courage that took.
Well, and you know what's funny, Dave, is because like I've been thinking about it, and I think that's exactly what I was trying to say and did a really bad job of a few minutes ago when you asked me like about that. But like I was sitting there in the sermon yesterday
Yeah,
thinking like it wasn't courageous to me.
right.
I wasn't trying to be courageous. There was no, it was just like,
Okay.
hey, mom and dad, I found this college. It's in New York City. That's where I'm going. Like that, like, but looking back, I'm like, wow, holy cow. If
And then your mom
Iris
and dad, they closed the
did that to
door
me,
and they wept, just like you're
right?
gonna do with Iris someday. When she's like,
I
I found what I'm gonna do. Going to Africa, one
know.
way ticket. You'll be like, oh, great. That's so good. I love it.
No, yeah.
Um,
So whatever, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just like there's some kind of weird crazy in me that God put there that's just like I don't
well,
know. I don't know.
these youth pastors that probably they didn't call it residency or leadership development or whatever they were calling it, but
Hey, I
dude,
tell you what, I have said that
starts
multiple
there.
times recently. Youth
Mm,
pastors that are listening, you guys
mm, yeah.
do not underestimate the
Hmm.
influence that you have on the world.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot
Yeah.
overstate that. And
Yeah.
that means for churches, hire and develop incredible youth pastors. And if you are a youth pastor, I mean, I don't want to like stress people out, but
Right.
also realize the burden of leadership that you have
For sure.
to be awesome because you are literally changing the world
And
through the
Holly,
students that you're making.
a lot of times, dynamic people start with, yeah, I grew up in this little church you've never heard of, and they let me, and they start talking. And you're just
Yes.
like, yeah. When we started 8 years ago, I would have thought, yeah, we're going to work only with the top one. And some of our favorite clients are churches you've never heard of, smaller
Yes.
than 500, and they're developing people because they
Yep.
have to.
Yes. That's it, Dave.
They have to.
Is it? Oh, I
And
love it. Thank you for the,
we all grew up doing youth Sunday, right? Some of these places, it's like, no, it's youth. The youth are running sound and they're playing drums and they're up there and it's pretty good and they have to be because there
yeah.
aren't any. So
It's so
anyway,
true. Well, hey, Dave, thank you for the work that
yeah,
you are doing with Leadership Pathway. Seriously, it is massive to
yeah,
help support churches and then those young
for sure,
leaders who are trying to discern their calling
for sure.
and helping them not hold it so heavily, but
Yeah,
to just step forward in what God
yeah.
has for them next and learning along the way. It's so
I love
important.
it. I love it. Thanks for the time, Holly Tate. Keep up the good
Thank
work
you. You
and all
too,
that.
Dave.
All right, take care.